Okay, so today we are going to be talking. Well, not really talking so much as we're going to be doing more mixed practice with rational numbers. Okay, so if you look at the uh, text box or text bubbles rather, sorry, it's asking you what it asks you in the first one. The questions to kind of ask yourself in terms of if what you're doing and how you're processing the question is making sense, right? So, first question is what is happening in this situation? What operations can you use to solve the problem? And does your solution make sense in the context of the problem? So, when we look at this first question, it says Mrs. Neville is baking 5 batches of cookies. Okay. Well, for me, that's going to be important. I'm going to need to know that, right? So she's baking 5 batches of cookies. Cool. She will need 2.5 cups of flour for each batch. So she needs 2.5 cups of flour for each batch. If she begins with a bag of flour that contains 20 cups, so a bag of flour contains 20 cups. How many cups of flour will be left in the bag? So basically, how many cups of flour will be left? Excellent. So that's a really good start because it tells us everything that we really need to know. Okay? So let's go ahead and write some of that down. So what do I know about this problem? Well, I know that I'm going to say Mrs. N for Neville is baking 5 batches of cookies. It doesn't really matter of cookies. It just matters that she's baking 5 batches of something. What else do we know? Each batch needs 2.5 cups of flour. So each batch needs 2.5 cups of flour. Excellent. Then 1 bag of flour contains 20 cups. So I'm going to say 1 bag, of flour equals 20 cups. Perfect. Sorry. Sweet. Okay. Let's talk about what we need to know. Well, what we need to know is in the question essentially, right? How much flour will be left after making 5 batches of cookies? So, how much flour will be left after baking after baking 5 batches, again, of anything, but since we have this space, we'll say of cookies. Okay. Yay. Now, let's see how all of this, or let's see why all of this is really important. Okay? For our plan and work, it says that she's going to use 2.5 cups of flour and that she's making 5 batches. So, we're going to have to multiply. So we're going to take that 2.5 and multiply it by 5. 2.5 times 5. All right, so there's something we're learning in class called Walk Around Texas. And this is gonna help us, or at least I think it's helping us convert these mixed numbers into improper fractions, and by doing that, that allows us to actually multiply and divide with mixed numbers, okay? But they have to be turned into improper fractions first. So we're going to walk around Texas. So when we do that, we have to follow our steps. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and our remainder stays the same. So this is really 5 over 2, whereas this one, though it stands alone as 5, is really 5 over 1. We multiply straight across, and we end up with 25 over 2. Obviously, we can't leave it like that, so let's go ahead and divide. All right, I'm going to take my 25 and put it on the inside of my division box, and I'm going to put my 2 on the outside. Now I know 2 can go into itself once. 2 times 1 is 2. You subtract, you end up with 0. Drop your 5. 2 can go into 5 2 times, because 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 gives you 1. Now, this is a part where if you get stuck, remember you can always add a decimal, and that allows you to put a 0 here and bring it down. And of course, 2 can fit into 10 5 times. So she's going to have to use 12 and a half, and we'll write it as a fraction, 12 and 1/2 cups of flour. But it said that she also is using 1 bag of flour. So we're going to get that 20 and subtract this 12 and a half. And in order for me to do that, I'm going to say that it is 20 and essentially 0/100 minus 12 and 1/2. This way it's just easier to solve. So of course nothing minus nothing is nothing. We can't take 5 from nothing, so we go next door, but no one's home. We go next door, we get a 2, we borrow from it. Our 0 becomes a 10, but we still need to borrow, so our 10 becomes a 9, and our 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. We drop our decimals. Notice how they're lined up. 9 minus 2 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. So our solution is that there will be 7 and 1/2 cups. I'll write it here. 7 and 1/2 cups of flour left in the bag. And that is essentially how we solve that question. Now let's keep it going. Slide this up just a bit. Awesome. All right, let's talk about number 2. Okay, number 2 is a really good one. I like number 2 a lot. Just because it's a little bit different, but not so much that we have to like worry about anything. So let's focus on some key words, key terms, key phrases here. Jody has 6 1/4 pounds of candy to make Valentine goodie bags for her classmates. If she puts 3/8 of a pound of candy in each goodie bag, how many Valentine bags can she make? Okay. So let's talk about what we know. We know Jody has 6 1/4 pounds of candy. That's a lot of candy. Not gonna lie. And what we also know is that for each bag of candy, she's gonna need 3/8 of a pound. So I'll say we'll say each goodie bag needs, we're gonna say, what is it, 3/8? 3/8 of a pound of candy. Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about what we need to know. Well, let's see. So she has 6 1/4 bags of candy. She puts 3/8 of a pound of candy in each goodie bag. How many Valentine bags can she make? Okay, so that's going to be our need to know. How many goodie bags can she make? How many goodie bags can, we'll say, Jody make? Question, right? That's what we need to know. As far as how we're going to plan, okay, well, we have a total. Her total is 6 1/4, and we need to take from that evenly every time. So what should have popped up in your mind is division. At least I hope. We'll see. Now, here we're going to have our 6 1/4 divided by 3/8. Now, this is another opportunity to take that walk around Texas and to talk about our rule for dividing fractions. So we're going to take that walk around Texas. And as we do that, we see that 6 times 4 is 24 plus 1 is 25. And it's going to stay over that original denominator. So now we have 25 over 4. Keep, change, flip. So that's the rule that we're going to use for dividing fractions, right? We're going to keep the first fraction. We're going to change our division sign to multiplication. And we're going to flip the second fraction. So instead of it being 3 over 8, it's actually going to be 8 over 3. Now, this is also a great place to look for common factors. So those are numbers that can be multiplied into each other. So there's a common factor in 4 and 8. Now, we find these common factors diagonally. There are no common factors between 3 and 25, but the common factors between 4 and 8 is actually 4. 4 can go into itself once. 4 can go into 8 2 times. Then we simply multiply across. So we should end up with 50 over 3. And of course, we can't leave it like this. So let's use some mental math here. 3 times what number gets me close to 50? Well, if I do 3 times 12, I'll get 36. If I do 3 times 15, I get 45. If I do 3 times 16, I get 48. And that's as close as I can get. So I'll show you that too. So 16 times 3, that'll give me 18. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus the 1 is 48. That's as close as I can get. So I know that I can pull a whole number, 3 over 3, 16 times. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. My denominator stays the same. So my 3 goes there. And very simply, if 3 times 16 gave me 48, and I had 50 thirds, well, what's 50 minus 48? It's 2. And that's our answer. 16 and 2/3. But when it comes to how many full bags she can make, right? Can she, I mean, she can make 2/3 of a bag, but is 2/3 of a bag a full bag? No. So unfortunately, Jody can make 16 full bags. Yeah. Could have said goodie bags, could have said Valentine Day bags, could have said Valentine goodie bags. Either way, that's how we're going to find our answer. So, there we go. Let's go ahead and keep on keeping on. Let's go to this next page. Okay. So here, let me see here. Let me see if this does anything. Ah, sweet. That's very nice, actually. All right. Here it says Avery bought 3 pounds of lettuce. Okay, so let's talk about some important stuff already. It says Avery bought 3 pounds of lettuce. Okay, so 3 pounds of lettuce. And 2 3/5 pounds of tomatoes. Perfect. Use the table to determine the amount of change Avery received after paying for her purchase with a $20 bill. Awesome. So this isn't too bad. Okay. We can put a little circle there, put a little circle there, just so that it kind of stands out what exactly we're doing. Okay. Now, it says Avery bought 3 pounds of lettuce. Our lettuce is $1.88. So $1.88 times 3. 3 times 8 is 24. Put down the 4, carry the 2. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 2, which is 26. Put down the 6, carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. I have 2 numbers on the right of my decimal, so I will swing my decimal 2 to the left. And that is going to be the cost of my lettuce. Alright. Now, in order to figure out 2 3/5 pounds of tomatoes. Okay. So 2 is already our whole number. We can basically leave that alone. But we do need to figure out what 3 divided by 5 is going to be. Okay? So immediately it's going to start with a decimal. We know that 5 can't go into 3. But we know that 5 can go into 30 6 times. So this makes our job a lot easier, okay? We're going to look at the cost of our tomatoes at $1.25. $1.25. We're going to attach our change to our dollars. So now we have $2.6. And we're going to multiply 2.6. We'll add the 0 as the filler, and we'll just multiply. And this part's pretty simple, especially the first one. I like to not skip this step, even though I can, but 0, 0, 0. That's just important. I'm going to cross that out because I'm done with it, but I have a 0 that I have to put underneath. Then I have 6 times 5, which will be 30. Put my 0 down, carry my 3. 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 3 is 15. Put my 5 down, carry my 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And I will cross it out because I'm done with it, but now I have to fill it up. 2 times 5 is 10. Put my 0 down, carry my 1. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. And of course, 2 times 1 is 2. Let's go ahead and add all this up. We have a 0, 0, 5, 2, 1, and 3. So let me write it over here. Ow, sorry, my elbow just popped. We have 3, 2, 5, 0, 0. I'm going to write it right here. 3, 2, 5, 0, 0. Now, what's going to happen here is that we had 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers behind our decimal. So I'm going to start here and swing 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here we are at 325. So we figured out how much Avery paid for both the lettuce and the tomatoes. All right. Now we have to add those up and subtract it from 20. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to get my 564 plus my 325. 4 plus 5 is 9. 6 plus 2 is 8. Drop my decimal, make sure they line up. And 5 plus 3 is 8. Now, they said that she purchased it with a $20 bill. Excellent. We can do that pretty easily. $20 minus $8.89. All right, so I can't take 9 from nothing. So I have to borrow, but they're broke. I have to borrow, but they're broke. But I can borrow here because they're not broke. I can borrow 1 there. That gives me a 10 here. But this one's still broke, so I borrow that 10. That's a 9. That's a 10. But that's still broke, so I borrow. That's a 9. This is a 10. 10 minus 9 gives you 1. 9 minus 8 gives you 1. Drop your decimals. Make sure they line up. 9 minus 8 gives you 1. 1 minus nothing gives you 1. And your answer has been finally revealed. What you should end up with is that after Avery bought all of this, her change was $11.11. Yeah. Okay. Now, we are going to talk about the next one. The next one is says that Deidre is making headbands to sell for her friends. Each headband requires 1 7/8 feet of fabric. And if Deidre plans to make 14 headbands, then how much fabric will she need? Okay. So, no, I'll deal with that later. Okay, so each headband requires 1 7/8. If she's gonna make 14, we have to figure out how much fabric she will need. So we're gonna be multiplying here. And I'll write 14 over 1. So here's another great opportunity to take that walk around Texas. So let's go ahead and do that. We will walk around Texas. Okay. And then I'm going to move it off to the side, obviously. So well, we're going to end up with 8 times 1, which is 8, plus 7, which is 15. So I'm going to have 15 over 8 times 14 over 1. We're going to look for, before we do anything yet, we're going to look for a common factor. Obviously, 1 and 15 do not share a common factor other than 1. So that's irrelevant. That would be a pointless move. But 8 and 14 do share a common factor. And I'm going to say that common factor is 2. 2 can go into 8 4 times, and 2 can go into 14 7 times. Then we multiply straight across. I'll show you how to do 15 times 7 real quick. 35, 105. So it should be 105 over 4. Obviously, we can't leave it like that, so let's go ahead and divide. When we divide, we'll end up with, let's see, 105 divided by 4. 4 can go into 10 twice. That gives us 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. Drop the 5. 4 can go into 25 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. 25 minus 24 is 1. Decimal, add a 0, bring the 0 down. 4 can go into 10 twice. 4 times 2 is 8. I realize I'm writing into that. It'll be okay. That'll give me 2. Add another 0. Bring it all the way down. 4 can go into 20 5 times. And 5 times 4 is 20, so I'm not going to continue doing that. So, it turns out that Deidre will actually need 26 1/4 feet of fabric, which is, I guess, kind of a lot of fabric, but also not really. I don't know. I'm not a fabric guy. But let's check it out. Okay, next one. This one's pretty cool because it uses like a science word, evaporating. Okay. Now, the good thing about this one is not only is it very easy, but the evaporating word is important because when something is evaporating, it is literally disappearing. And if it's disappearing, do you think that's going to have a positive or negative value? Exactly, it's going to be negative. So I'm just going to do a container of rainwater is evaporating. It's disappearing at 1.9 or 29 centimeters a week. After 8 weeks, what will be the change in the level? So we're clearly just multiplying. But bear in mind it's a negative number. So I'm going to write negative 1.29 times 8. And then I'm just going to simply multiply, and we're done. 8 times 9 is 72. Put my 2 down, carry my 7. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 7 is 23. Carry my 2. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. But of course, it was a positive times a negative, so my answer very clearly is negative 10.32. I guess we can say centimeters per week. That one's actually not bad, so it's all good. When we go to this next one, number 6. Okay, number 6. I don't know. It seems like it's busy, but it's not super busy. But let's go ahead and get into it. All right, number 6. It says the table below shows a change in a stock price over a period of a week. And they show the days of the week and the price changes. So let's look at our question. It says if 12 shares of stock were purchased on Monday and sold on Tuesday, then what was the loss in earnings? Okay, so we know there was a loss. So at some point after we multiply the cost of the shares on Monday to the 12 shares that were purchased, and after we multiply the cost of the shares on Tuesday with the 12 shares that were sold, we're going to be subtracting because we know there was some type of loss. Okay, no big deal. Let's get into it. Monday, 16.87. Okay, $16.87. We're going to multiply that by 12. 2 times 7 is 14. Carry the 1. 2 times 8 is 16 plus 1. That's 17. 2 times 6. Oh, carry the 1, sorry. 2 times 6 is 12 plus 1 is 13. Carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. I have 7 and 8 on the right side of my decimal, so I swing it over and I place it right there. So they purchased those 12 shares or when they purchased it. Why does that not seem right? I think that was the first step, and then I messed up. I don't know why I messed up just though. Cross out the 2. Put a 0. Holy cow, even I make mistakes. Whew. 1 times 7, 1 times 8, 1 times 6, 1 times 1. Add my partial product. Sorry, guys. My bad. When I add my partial products, I should get 4. 14. What is that? 12. 10. And 2. There we go. So now I get $202.44 for Monday. For Tuesday, we're going to do $16.35 times 12. This time, I'm not going to forget the extra step. Sorry, 2 times 5 is 10. Put the 0 down, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 2 times 6 is 12, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Put the 0 down, cross out the 2 because we used it. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 6 is 6. And 1 times 1 is 1. And then we'll add up our partial products. We'll get 0, 12, 6, 9, 1. And we'll swing that decimal over 2 spots. So now we have 2 totals. The first total for Monday is $202.44. The second total for Tuesday is $196.20. Let's go ahead and subtract to find that loss. We're going to get 202.44 minus 196.20. Cool. 4 minus nothing is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. Drop your 0, make sure they're drop your decimal, make sure they're lined up. Can't take 6 from 2, so I have to go next door, but they're broke, so I have to borrow. I'll borrow that 1. This becomes a 10, but I still can't take 6 from 2, so I cross that out, borrow 1. And now I have 12 minus 6, which is 6. 9 minus 9, which is 0. 1 minus 1, which is 0. Therefore, their loss in earnings was $6.24. All right. Let's talk about this next one. All right. So for this next one, it says, for summer camp, Josie orders 45 sets of markers. 1/5 of the sets of markers will go to the office. 2/3 of the sets of art 2/3 of the sets to the art classroom, and the remainder will go to the storage closet. Whew, okay. Well, let's do some work. So they're saying that 1/5 of the 45 is gonna go to the office. Okay. Well, if this is really over 1 and I multiply straight across, then I have 45, put it up here, over 5. And 5 can be multiplied into 45 evenly 9 times. Therefore, how many marker sets will go to the office? 9 sets. That one was pretty simple, not gonna lie. 2/3 of the 45 are gonna go to the art room. Okay, fine, we can do that too. They're saying that 2/3 will go to the art room. Okay, that's over 1. If we multiply, we're going to get, what's 45 twice? What, 90? 90 over 3. Well, it turns out that 3 times 9, or 3 times 3 is 9, so 3 times 30 would get you 90. Or just 90 divided by 3, 3, 9, 0, drop the 0, 0. Your answer here is 30 sets. Now, let's use some common sense here. How many marker sets will go to the storage closet? Well, let's think of how many sets we've already used. We gave 9 sets to the office. We gave 30 sets to the art class. That's 39 sets. We had 45 sets originally. So let's do this. I can't take 9 from 5. I go next door to borrow. That becomes 15. The difference of 15 and 9 is 6. So the answer here is 6 sets. And I'll circle 9 sets just so that it's fair. 9 sets. And that is just more practice on how to solve multiplying and dividing, or in general mixed practice with rational numbers. I hope it helps y'all. Take care.